How do I find the courage to leave my fiance who doesn't seem good for me? I am seeing a lot of things that make me question the amount of stability I'd have with him in the future. Number 1. He refuses to take the COVID vaccine and has convinced family members not to take it either. This includes his immunocompromised mother. He cannot be reasoned with and has deep dived into the conspiracy theories of Twitter. This topic has created so much strife between us that I had to ask him not to bring it up with me for the next little while. Number 2. His decision to not take the vaccine is about to cost him his job, and he is ready to lose everything including the roof over his head. He thinks I am too focused on this world and not the next, due to my decision to follow the advice of health advisories to get vaccinated. Number 3. When we disagree about things, he makes them very personal. Fights with him leave me questioning my own sanity and recollection of events. I believe he has undiagnosed mental health issues and he isn't open to discussing this. He has had 2 pretty major psychotic episodes that he has attributed to religious experiences. There are people in his family with bipolar disorder and I suspect that he may have something going on there. I once convinced him to go to an intake assessment with me and his mom, and they suspected it was bipolar, but they referred him to an inappropriate counselor who did not specialize in mood disorders, so he never went back and concluded that everything was fine with him. The thing that scares me is, he almost had me convinced nothing was wrong for a little bit. Number 4. He vilifies me and often questions my character when I haven't done anything wrong. He'll tell me all the bad thoughts he has about me sometimes and how he tries to fight them off. I've given him no reason not to trust me, and yet he still doesn't feel the need to seek professional help because he says they're just going to push medicine on him and change who he is. Number 5. I just spent 7 years in university getting my bachelor's and master's degrees and I've started my career in a great field. I'm looking to build my career and start saving for the future, and his priorities are looking to the end of the world, going on Twitter and finding stuff about the negatives of the vaccine, and ignoring his own career/life aspirations he once had when I met him. Number 6. When I try to reason with him, express concerns about him, ask him about future career and living plans, everything becomes super personal, and I become the bad guy. Number 7. When we get into fights he overshares information with his family, meaning that when I see them the next time it's extremely awkward for me. I've asked him not to do this, but he seems to do whatever he wants. Number 8. When we go out to order lunch or food or anything, I find myself feeling upset that he talks to strangers better than he talks to me. We broke up not too long ago, and I really think I should have left the relationship alone. His family enables a lot of negative behavior in their sons and there's so much unaddressed trauma there. My fear is ending this again and the explosive, negative impact it's going to have on everything. I have more superficial concerns too, like, will I ever meet anyone else or will I spend the rest of my life alone? Now that everyone knows I'm engaged, how stressful is it going to be to tell everyone we broke up? I liked his mom and grandmother too, and I know he will tarnish my reputation and drag my name through the mud. He has good qualities too, like being honest, sticking to his word, being intelligent and creative, but what I foresee right now is someone who is running their life into the ground and is going to have to pick up all of the pieces later. There have been so many times when I tell him, I really don't think you should do that, only for him to realize later that I said it not to control him, but because I was trying to offer a suggestion for the best outcome, and avoid a negative one. An example. Me, I really don't think we should walk, you're untrained Doberman, near those kids in the park. Let's go the other way. Him, I hear you, but I'm going to take her this way. Then we go. Then 2 minutes later his dog is off-leash and chasing children through the park, and he spent 30 minutes trying to get her back with strangers' help. He perceives everything I try to do as me having some kind of twisted ulterior motive. How can I marry someone who won't work with me? TLDR, my fiancé is making a lot of poor life decisions, for example, giving up his job, not addressing mental health issues. I'm trying to create a healthy life, but I have some really bad reasons for not wanting to leave, mostly related to self-esteem. How should I go about this? Reply. Not sure about the specifics of how to leave, honestly, but your fiancé sounds ridiculous and scary. And I'm sure he will make your life miserable if you stay together. I just want to point out that your concerns of the blowback of the breakup remind me a lot of myself. I sense you care a lot about people's opinions on how you conduct your life. I'm sure it comes from a place of being a sensitive and caring person. However, you need to remind yourself it doesn't matter what others think about your breakup, especially his family, since they'll no longer be in your life. I have this issue myself and talked to my therapist about it. When I got back with a ex, I spent days anxious about how my friends and family would perceive me getting with someone when we ended a relationship already. He reminded me that while they might be shocked for a bit, that people are remarkably self-absorbed, and won't care that much once the initial surprise wears off. He was right, of course, and I powered through the feelings. As far as being anxious about being alone, try to savor it for a while. You will find a more secure partner eventually, but it will be healthy for you to enjoy your own company for a while. I can only imagine how much pressure you have had to endure being in such a stressful relationship for a long time, and I think you will actually appreciate the breathing room. Another reply. You sound incredibly smart and incredibly sweet. I admire that you came here for the courage to leave him and not asking so much if you can leave him. It sounds like you've already made the decision to do this, and I admire you greatly for that. It's often the hardest part. It's going to suck for a while. There's probably going to be some blow up, and given how unstable he sounds, there's the potential for danger. I have no idea what sort of support system you have within your own family and friends, but I would sit down and have an honest talk to them about it. It's going to feel weird putting yourself out there like that, but getting their help with this guy and the extremes he might go to is a good idea. Your safety is the most important thing in all of this. What I would also recommend as a fair warning, no idea if he's done this before, is potentially prepare yourself for the "I'm going to kill myself" bit. I've often noticed that people who are extreme like that like to go to the most extreme option they have to keep someone. Hopefully he doesn't, but it's still something to worry about. I wish you the best of luck though in leaving him. Find that courage within and steel yourself for some hard times but a brighter, happier future. Another reply. You're 24, of course you would meet someone else. In general, you could stop a stranger on the street and not get into the kind of crazy you have going on here. He definitely has mental health issues, and due to his own perception of self and a poor handling the one time you got a crack at staring therapy in the past, I find it unlikely he's going to try again anytime soon. My concern is that the current climate in terms of the state of the world seems to have him leveling up, to the point that he is, according to you, preoccupied with the end of the world and having episodes of psychotic breaks which he attributes to religious visions. To me, that coupled with his issues of control, admission of things he finds detestable about you, and the way he treats you in general puts you in real physical danger. You don't mention he's ever aggressed against you in that way here, but I would bet money if you stay that's where this is headed. He's an undiagnosed severely mentally ill person who is focused on the end of days and having psychotic breaks. He could very well kill you during one of these in a delusional attempt to bring you home, as in go in God heaven. He could also be a danger to himself if this gets worse. All that said, if I were you I'd run far and fast. Even if all I outlined above weren't possibly true, what's the alternative? You stick around to try and be the stabilizer in an increasingly unstable relationship? That would be martyrdom in the highest order. You've tried to help him, he's not willing to accept help because he doesn't think he needs it. In my experience, the only thing you can do in that case is save yourself. My late sister once told me when I was stuck between leaving a toxic relationship and staying in the hopes that things get better despite knowing they were getting worse, leaving doesn't mean you don't love the person, it means you decided to save yourself. That's what you need to do here. If you stay, you'll be destroyed by this man. It's not necessarily his fault, he's seriously ill. But that doesn't mean it's okay for you to stay and put yourself in harm's way emotionally or potentially physically just because he's not mentally clear. If you don't look after yourself, no one in this very sad story will. Another reply. Everything everyone else has said is great, you should leave him, don't worry about what his family thinks or says because he's making you miserable. Do not look back. What I would say is do not allow this to factor in the breakup decision making, but for your own self-esteem, he's gaslighting and treating you like this because he's sick or he's been brainwashed by online nutters writing arguments that target people who are vulnerable in this way, and they're incredibly good at it. But don't take anything away from this about you apart from how strong you've been to continue to deal with this logically. No part of this is your fault, you've tried to be supportive, calm, well-reasoned. You can't do any more and you aren't going to get who he was back, but it so wasn't your fault, you did everything you could do. Whatever he says or gaslights you with, just remember you've done incredibly and been very compassionate and someone else incredible will be attracted to you when you meet them, I'm sure of it. Another reply. Girl. Leaving him will save you from drowning with him. Leave while you can. Run. Any one of these reasons would be a good one to leave. There is absolutely no reason to stay. You're 24. You have decades of meeting people ahead of you. Healthy people who aren't self-destructive and manipulative. People who won't gaslight you. People who won't intimidate or bully you. So what, you like his mom and grandma? They are quite frankly enabling his shitty behavior. Once you walk away you will be so happy and relaxed I guarantee you won't even think about them. And you don't need to make a big public announcement about breaking off the engagement. Tell one friend and ask her to quietly spread the news to whomever you feel needs to know. She can just tell them FYI broke things off with fiance for several reasons but really isn't prepared to talk about it now. And if he is too vindictive he will try to trash you. People will either 1. See him in a very negative light or 2. Believe him, in which case they were never your friends anyways and they are very poor judges of character, so who cares. If it's really OTT you can have a lawyer write him a strongly worded letter, and if it's threatening or abusive call the police. He bullies you BC, he knows you won't fight back. Lastly, surround yourself with supportive people, pick up a new hobby, work out and get into therapy. Good luck. Break it off. Now. Report back. Don't condemn yourself to a miserable future by staying with this guy a second longer. Another reply. As someone who has called off an engagement, let me start by saying there is no way around this being hard, heartbreaking, and likely severing your relationship with him and all his family and close friends. That's just something you have to come to terms with. And there are absolutely going to be cringe to your toes, awkward moments telling people the wedding is off and hearing their opinions, insensitive comments, and general insanely hurtful tidbits. Like that is just par for the course. But, it is totally worth the rest of your life. It is worth following your gut and valuing the lived experience and facts here. You have your whole life and the whole world ahead of you. Don't get stuck worrying what these people will think. It will be hot gossip for a hot minute and then your new life begins. Slowly and with heartbreak healing slowly, but it begins. You have your whole life to meet someone else and figure out if you even want that after you've healed and grown and been through ice cream tubs and dance floors to get to that hopeful place again. And choosing love when you know who you are and what you want and need, and are honoring that, is just so much better. It's stupid to even compare the two when you look back. This relationship and person has so many red flags it's hard to see how marriage is even a thinkable step with him. But it sounds from your list that you have come to terms with that and are mostly torn over dreading the next step. Advice for ending it: do a clean break. Be kind, be honest, let yourself be sad. And then let yourself start moving on and healing. Give yourself lots of time. Be in the present and enjoy the little things. Cry and process and find yourself a therapist worth their weight in gold. You may have to try a few. I'm wishing you all the best. This is a hard, heartbreaking time, but you are being brave and honest enough with yourself to steer your ship toward new horizons in a moment of crisis. That already speaks volumes about you and where you are headed. Another reply. If you have to make a list of why you don't want to be with someone, I would tell you a problem shouldn't be with them. And yes, the vaccine and jobs are important things, but when you love someone, does that sort of thing matter? I'm not sure. I'm only 20 and with my first BF. But I know if you are thinking of spending the rest of your life with someone, you love them for who they are. The best and the worst, no matter what. You have to decide for yourself if those are things you can deal with for the rest of your life. But then again, the problems you have with him now may not be permanent. COVID will eventually go away and he will eventually have a job again.